I'm a founder and president of Cepham Inc., a company based in New Jersey, USA. I started my career into pharmaceuticals many years back. I stayed in pharmaceutical for about 15 years. And after that, I have seen a trend of people moving towards self-care and everything was moving toward natural. And that prompted me to drop my business and career in pharmaceutical and start Cepham, which was based on natural products and on a theme of self-care for all. On the pharmaceutical side, if you see most of the remedies which we have, they are addressing mostly, on the symptom alleviation or infection cure. But once you look for something which is going towards self-care or prevention, nutraceutical comes to the forefront. What we have seen in the pharma that there's a general trend of consumers who are more and more inclined towards self-care. They're inclined towards taking steps to have their health taken care by themselves, and then that actually drives the entire business model towards prevention and a natural and what we call let your food be your medicine. So I see this trend is going on the demand side, and slowly the pharma need to follow this trend to actually fulfill this demand and fill the space with the kind of training, with the kind of experience they have built up. In case of pharma companies, they have built up massive capacities to manufacture. They know the dosage form very well. They're pretty much aware of how to run clinical trials or have endpoint results available. These expertise are going to play a long way for the nutraceutical market, because more and more consumers are aware of science. They're asking questions, and who is better in position than a pharma company who knows the techniques and tools to address and answer these questions. So by training or by experience, most of the pharma companies, they know how to play the space of therapeutic categories. If you're looking at metabolic syndrome, you're looking at eye health, you're looking at conditions like PCOD, they know what exactly is needed there, what kind of metabolic pathways are in play. And what pharma companies can do, they can gather evidence. They can look at traditional knowledge. They can look at herbs and other products available to address these conditions. They can run this whole thing to the rigor of science. They can run the clinical trials. They can present and create the evidence behind it. And they can take it to consumer. They can take it to healthcare professionals, where basically drive it either via medical community or direct to consumer. But in both cases, they have to present some kind of evidence. In the case of medical professionals, they have to provide more hard-hitting evidences, science-based. In case of consumers, they have to basically tell them what tangible benefits they can get out of the product. So what we call in nutraceutical, what we call gold standard, a gold standard of a clinical trial. You're looking at a double-arm, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical study. And if this study is done, and this can be repeated, once you do a study, you publish it to a peer-reviewed journal, let it go to a peer review process, and then it should be repeatable at a different location, in a different population, with certain statistical parameters, and then that's what we call a golden standard study. So you bring in those kind of evidences, and I know that pharma has been doing this for a long time. Most of the generic companies, they are very well versed about the bioequivalence studies. So they know the protocols, they know how it's been done. That's one part of being clinical. On the other side, all the pharma knows very well how to set specification for the products. What are the incoming herbs in a multi-herb formulation or multivitamin and herb formulation, how to put all those parameters in place, how to analytically verify everything. So pharma knows the science behind emerging nutraceuticals. On the other hand, a pure play nutraceutical company, they are mostly running this thing direct to consumer or talking to via media, they are working on a few tangible benefits and a good marketing campaign. But in reality, anything which is going to stay in market and sell for a long time has to be based on science. And I think pharma is in a very better place to do it, in a very regular way, which is going to be liked by regulators and which is going to be approved by regulators because they know the scientific rigors. Government of India is doing a lot of work in this direction. The constitution of task force to promote natural remedies out of India was a great step. It is done under the supervision of principal scientific advisor to Prime Minister's office, and it's a great step. It's basically interdepartmental. I'm personally a member of this task force. We talk interdepartments. There are no boundaries out there. If we have a good idea, we can present it with endpoints, and things have been changing. And then what we are seeing, what I see from Western eyes, that only thing which we know outside India of the Indian herbs and Ayurveda are hardly 5% of the wealth we have here. And there's a very positive step towards, getting all these herbs and knowledge out to the rest of the world and also to consumers in India. Because the consumers have become global. You're looking at a younger population. They're not going to take anything, any protein, any herbal formula without asking questions. So you have to prove the science behind it. And it is common. You go to Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Middle East, or Europe, or US. The people, young people, they have the same questions. Is your product safe? Do you have science behind it? And can you sustain it?